Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me here at the First Alert Desk. My name's Karli Barnett. We want to give you a look at some of the stories that we are following for your Saturday. A quick programming notice. You can join us tonight at 6 and 11 on CBS. You can also join us at 10 on Peachtree TV. And you can always join us back here at the First Alert Desk tonight at 8. That's an opportunity for you to ask First Alert meteorologist Cutter Martin any weather questions that you may have for your area. Of course, it is the weekend, and we know a lot of people are anticipating some good weather to round things out. So we just wanted to give you a look at where some of our reporters are at across Metro Atlanta and some of the things that we are working on for you right now. So this is an update to a story that we had brought you earlier in the week. A person that police had wanted allegedly tied to arson is now in custody. This is the image right here. This woman is accused of setting 2 homes on fire in Norcross and has now been arrested, according to the Gwinnett County Fire and Emergency Services. Hong Ti-hyun, who is 61 years old, was taken into custody by Dunwoody Police Friday and is being held without bond. Police say she set 2 homes on fire on June 1st, one on the 6,000 block of Buckingham Court Northwest and one on the 1,300 block of Turner's Ridge Drive Northwest. The first fire burned the home down, displacing the family. A man had to be taken to the hospital with serious injuries, according to investigators. The second fire caused moderate damage, as they put it, and displaced 6 people. One person was treated for non-life-threatening injuries there. Court documents allege that she started the fire using Molotov cocktails and supposedly did mean to hurt the family inside, at least one of them. A witness who did not want to be identified told Atlanta News First that he saw the first home on fire, went in to go help. The family made it out of the home, but someone ran up and threw liquid on the father, engulfing his body in flames. So this person has been wanted by police. Police now say she is in custody and is accused of starting at least 2 fires. According to Gwinnett County Fire and Emergency Services, we do know that there were injuries as a result of the fire. Also, family members said that Nguyen is a relative, but they don't know why she would try to hurt them. So still a lot of questions this evening, but we do know the latest is that she has now been taken into custody and is accused of setting these homes on fire. The next story that we want to talk about is we know that we've had to report on a lot of shootings here in Metro Atlanta. Sadly, it's not new, but even just last night, multiple shootings taking place in just one evening. So maybe you didn't know, but it is actually Gun Violence Awareness Month. And our reporter Asia Wilson this morning went to Emory Hillendale's Violence Prevention Program, hosting a peace walk. It's in honor of Wear Orange Day and National Gun Violence Awareness Month. The significance of the color orange is that that is the color that hunters wear in order to give a warning to make themselves visible so that they do not fall victim to any danger. So that is the significance there. But today at Davidson Arabia Mountain Nature Preserve, there was a 1-mile walk and a 5K walk. She has more from that event this morning.
With laces tied and messages across their chest.
Too many people are dying, and we want to promote life. And that's one reason why you see the orange that everyone is wearing, because orange represents life.
Dozens of gun safety advocates, prevention specialists, and family members of shooting victims all walked an Emory Hillendale Hospital's inaugural Peace Walk.
Some kids there tried to rob my son's best friend. In the time that the assailant pulled the gun, my son saw an opportunity to try to grab the gun from him to save his best friend's life. In that moment, the assailant pulled all the bullets into my son, and my son was left for dead.
Kim Williams' son, Cam, survived and was placed on life support for 3 months. He's now paralyzed from the waist down.
It's very important for me to come out and, talk about gun violence, because I want people to start focusing on poverty prevention too. Because I feel like if, these kids are raised out of poverty and they have opportunities and they have things that they can do in the community, it's going to prevent the gun violence.
A similar story with Jermaine Brown, with sadly a different ending.
Jared died after being struck by a stray bullet. He was invited to a cookout in the neighborhood, And on his way en route to the cookout, shots rung out, and he was struck and died instantly.
He's been advocating across the globe after her son died in 2015.
And to remember the lives of all those who life has been taken to senseless gun violence.
Whether they walked 1 mile or ran a 5K, people like Eric Hubbard with Congressman Hank Johnson's office had one message.
That, hey, we do not want gun violence in our community. We want you to do something about it. Have the laws.
And loved ones hope with each stride they get one step closer to finding a solution.
Come together and, maybe we can do something about the gun violence.
In Stonecrest, Asia Wilson, Atlanta News First.
So as you can see, some really powerful stories and testimonies there. This next story is one that, we're in the midst of summer travel right now. Maybe you have some vacations coming up before school lets back in. And this is a cautionary tale. How many times do we go to book a trip, book a cruise, and we see that medical travel insurance and we think, I'm not going to worry about that right now. Well, one woman in LaGrange says that if she could go back and do it all over again, she would definitely check that box and make the investment on the early end because it resulted in thousands, tens of thousands of dollars being spent by her family, but also the community rallying around her and stepping up in a big way. We are happy to report this new update. It was a couple of weeks ago that I reported on a woman who was from LaGrange who was supposed to be taking a dream vacation that very quickly turned into a nightmare when she suffered a medical emergency, had to be hospitalized in the Dominican Republic, and with those medical bills piling up, had to figure out a way to get home. Her family had to figure out how to get her home while she was in a medically induced coma. In 24 hours, thanks to social media, thanks to word of mouth, people who knew her from church, from the neighborhood, even just total strangers stepping up to make sure that she was okay and was able to get back into the United States. We reported then that she was able to be transported to Fort Lauderdale, to Broward Health in Fort Lauderdale, and after a week there, she is now home in LaGrange. She is doing so much better. And Atlanta News First was there as she got back home, was settling in, and we have her story this evening.
It was amazing to see it and to live to tell it and feel it, the love that people shown.
Loretta Cox is back home in LaGrange after a terrifying ordeal on her vacation.
I couldn't get out the car with just crying because I'm just so overjoyed that I was home.
While on a Carnival cruise to the Bahamas a few weeks ago, she said she'd been enjoying her evening when she suddenly felt like she needed to lie down.
And as I was headed to my room, I was getting short of breath.
She remembers two teens calling the medic and a woman assisting her until it all went dark.
With her lungs filling up with fluid, her lungs collapsed.
Her daughter, Aldis Brooks, says she was taken to the nearest hospital in the Dominican Republic, where she stayed for 2 days in a coma in the ICU. The total cost, including a medical air transport, about $75,000.
It was like we was paying a ransom to keep our mother alive.
Then the word that Loretta needed help spread quickly, and her family received about $25,000 in donations to transport her back to the United States.
It was friends, it was family, it was church members, people that just have seen her in Walmart.
She was treated at Broward Health in Fort Lauderdale for about a week when she finally woke up, her husband by her side.
I was so happy to see a familiar face when I woke up.
Loretta says she's beyond grateful to be back in her home with her children and grandchildren, and says an experience like this makes life that much more precious.
Cherish each day, each moment you have.
So as you can see, so glad to see Loretta is doing so much better. At this point, it's still unclear what exactly happened to her on that cruise. She is now undergoing testing with doctors at Emory to try to figure that out. She says she does suffer from asthma, but keeps it pretty well maintained with her inhaler, and that's what she thought she needed that day. That's why she was heading back down to her room. So it's still unclear what exactly happened, but they do have a word of warning to anybody who may be watching. They say that they had to pay all of that out of pocket because they did not have medical travel insurance. Also, something to note is look at what it includes, because it may not include the medical transport if you have to be airlifted somewhere. So to really read the fine print, and you may think, oh, well, I have health insurance, it's no problem. But many of these places do not accept health insurance that comes from within the United States. Another word of warning that they offer is, Loretta says, if you're traveling to a place like the Bahamas that doesn't necessarily require you to have a passport, she says to go ahead and get one anyways. That way, if you do fall ill or have an emergency and you do have to be taken to a place like the Dominican Republic, for example, had she not had her passport, it would have been a much more difficult time getting her back to the United States. So just some lessons learned that you don't necessarily think about, unfortunately, until it happens to you. So again, we're glad to report a happy update that she is doing so much better. And of course, they do still have very high medical bills as a result of this experience. And we have this story on AtlantaNewsFirst.com. There is an online fundraiser to help out with that if you want to donate or look more into that. So again, we have a lot more coming up for you tonight on Atlanta News First at 6, 10, and 11. We hope you will join us on TV or streaming, or you can watch online at AtlantaNewsFirst.com and through our app. That is also the place where you can continually find breaking news updates throughout the evening for news that might be happening in your area or weather that might be happening in your area. In the meantime, hope you have a wonderful Saturday. Take care, stay safe, and we will see you later on tonight.